The Bucks have done it. The long wait has ended. After a half century, the Milwaukee Bucks are NBA champions once again.
Yes, we did it together. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again.
Begin SportsCenter with a breaking news in the NBA. And what can you tell us about the Bucks firing Mike Budenholzer?
Mike Budenholzer out in Milwaukee after 5 seasons as head coach and a championship, but this season a first-round loss to the Miami Heat with Milwaukee as the number 1 seed in the West. You know, this is a coach who won nearly 70% of his games with the Bucks, but I think this is an organization now ready to hit the reset button. They are in the middle of a championship window with Giannis Antetokounmpo certainly at the center of all that. Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, potential free agents this offseason. This will be a really attractive job in the marketplace. I'm told that the Bucks are going to take their time as they search for their next head coach. But Mike Budenholzer out after 5 seasons in Milwaukee and that surprising first-round exit to the 8th-seeded Heat.
And we have some breaking news from the Milwaukee Bucks. A big hire that's been reported for the last week or so now official. Lance Allen rushed in here, the professional that you are, with word that the Bucks have a new head coach.
Yeah, we've kind of waited on this, Carol and Steve, for a while. It was reported on May 27th, and now the Bucks have made it official. Adrian Griffin will be the new Bucks head coach. He'll be announced at a news conference tomorrow morning around 11 a.m. Griffin played in the league from 1999 to 2008 and was an assistant on 5 teams. He started with the Bucks as an assistant coach. That was his coaching career. It started right here in Milwaukee 15 years ago and was most recently with the Toronto Raptors under Nick Nurse, who was also considered for the Bucks job.
I always had this dream of playing Major D1, but never in my wildest dreams that I think I would play in the Big East until Seton Hall came at the last second. I had a pretty good senior year. I think I made a second team All Big East. And, you know, like most guys, I had aspirations of making the NBA, and talking to my agent. It was a slim chance, but a real chance, you know, going late second round. So I'm back in Wichita watching the NBA draft, and you know, it's like 2-3 hours, and I'm just sitting there, and I invited, you know, family and friends over. You know, as the draft night progressed, you could tell people started kind of belling out and it was getting late. And so by the time the last pick had come, I was sitting there by myself watching it. I just remember sitting there just feeling so rejected. And around, you know, midnight-ish, my father came home. He said, you know what, let's just go for a drive. And Joe, you know, what are we doing, you know? And I'm just sitting there, and he hasn't said one word to me, and I haven't said one word to him. And then we just drove around about half an hour, and we get to a stoplight, and he just turns to me, he says, son, don't give up on your dream. God told me that you're gonna make the NBA. And that's all he said. And I always remember that to this day. And then it kind of lit a fire under me to not give up on my dreams. And, you know, I was fortunate that I had a father or someone to say, don't give up, you know, and it was so instrumental in my life. I got a call from the general manager. He said, hey, just want to let you know you got drafted in the CBA. I was like, okay. I said, okay. But then I realized like this would be an opportunity for me to continue to play ball in the States and showcase my talent. Being in the CBA is only 6 months out of the year, so you gotta find another way to supplement your income. So I would play in the USBL and all these minor leagues during the summer where you're the man. So I was the guy taking the last second shot. I was playing all year round, never taking time out. I heard someone call my name. They were like, Adrian. So I turned around, and it's the general manager, Chris Wallace of the Boston Celtics. And he said, and he has the phone in his hand. He said, hey, come here. I got your Adrian on the phone right now. We got the table set up in the back. We're gonna offer you a 2-year deal. I sat down, signed my name on the dotted line, and the rest is history. You know, all that hard work paid off, and it was just unbelievable. It's like a fairy tale ending. Yeah, I let my family know that, you know, I was with the Celtics, and, you know, what better team to come into, you know, just the rich history and the tradition. And I remember just practices sometimes, you know, I walk out on the floor and everyone was kind of coughing a little bit, and there was all kind of smoke in the air and everything, and I'm like, and then, you know, I turn around and there's Red Auerbach, you know, he has a cigar, and he was the only one that could smoke in the building, you know, and then the next day I'll see Bob Cousy and John Havlicek and all these guys, and I remember John Havlicek came up to me one time and he said, man, you're my favorite player. And he said, you know, you could have played back in the day. And that's where I got the reputation. They would always call me Old School. That was my nickname, Old School, because they always said I played like together, team basketball, nothing flashy, but I played hard, played as a team, played unselfish. So all of my teammates, everybody in the Boston community, on TV, the commentators, my nickname was Old School. So it was an awesome experience, man, just being part of that tradition.
Whoa! Look, Adrian Griffin, go to the hole and explode.
When I really realized that I'm in the NBA, we were playing the Utah Jazz, and I never forget this. John Stockton, Karl Malone, they walked on the court, and I'm like, man, that's John Stockton, that's Karl Malone, you know? They ran the 90s, you know, and it just blew my mind. And then we played the Lakers and Shaq and Kobe, and, you know, I remember being on defense and Shaq grabbed a rebound. And back then, man, Shaq could move. You know, this was a young Shaq, man, and he was 300 pounds and he could run like a deer. I mean, he was intimidating. And so he grabbed a rebound and he's pushing it hard. And I'm right there around the RA, the restricted area, and I told myself, take a charge. I'm taking a charge, right? And he's coming, and it was like an out-of-body experience. I didn't know my body moved out the way, right? And he laid the ball up. And I'm looking around, it's like, what happened? I think it was just natural instincts that your body, your mind has to protect itself. And Rick Pitino called a timeout, and he cuts me all the way over to the side, like, take a charge. And all the teammates were like, you did the right thing. It was such an honor to be, you know, for someone like me who went undrafted, the way I had to fight and claw to get up, right, you know, move up the ladder, and then to be on the court with all these legends, man, it was surreal.
Griffin for three. Adrian Griffin from the arc, and the Celtics continue to shoot it well from downtown.
AJ's a little bit older than me, but I followed his career in the NBA, played against him a couple of times, and he was known as a defender that wouldn't take no for an answer.
Griffin waits for his man to go by smart move by Adrian Griffin. That's the kind of thing he does.
Well, my last year in the league, I was with the Bulls before I got traded to Seattle my last year, and Scott Skiles was the head coach. He saw me kind of working with the young guys and whatnot, and he told me when I retired, he said, hey, when you retire, I got a job for you. At the end of that season, he left Chicago and took the Milwaukee job. I got traded to Seattle in the middle of that season, and then Seattle moved to OKC. So I flew to OKC looking for a place, and while I'm with the realtor, the general manager called me and said, I got traded to Milwaukee. And so I went through all the training camp, and our season opener was in Chicago, and the cutoff date was like a Thursday at 3 p.m. And I'm looking at the clock, and I'm like, man, it's 2:59. Man, I made it. It's in my 10th year in the league. And all of a sudden, my hotel phone rings, and it's Scott Skiles. And he says, hey, man, I'm sorry. You know, I tried to fight for you, but I got to let you go. But why don't you join my staff? When I was coaching with the Chicago Bulls for 5 seasons, Nick Nurse was with the Iowa Energy. He used to come to our practices or training camps, and he would email me and keep in touch and whatnot. And then when he got on with Toronto, you know, 5 years later, he gets the head coaching job, and he contacts me and he says, hey, you know, I've always been a fan of yours, and what do you think about, you know, joining my staff?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's the best, man. I mean, tremendous experience from his playing days. He really also had great experience on other staffs, worked for some great head coaches. Favorite thing about him is he's just a solid person, great work ethic, and he commands the film room or the locker room. You know, when he's doing he calls learning moments or teaching moments, and sometimes things get a little haywire. You know, when you're showing guys not so great clips, he's really able to reel them in quick. Just say, you know, hey, this is a teaching moment. This isn't personal or anything. This is all about learning, getting better, and the guys really respect him for the way he carries himself, the way he teaches, knowledge of the game, and just overall character that he has.
You know, Coach Nurse is the first coach that I've had that has actually been very instrumental in my development as a coach. You know, it's tough to get head coach experience if you haven't been a head coach. And so you got to find ways, almost like an apprenticeship. So, you know, coaches allow me to coach different, you know, games, coach the Rising Star All-Star game. And just, he's always trying to give me that experience. Well, my son is Adrian Griffin Jr. We call him AJ since he was a kid. He's starting forward with Duke. Oh yeah, I'll be watching for sure. You know, and if they get deeper in the tournament, you know, they get past the ACC tournament, and obviously they'll make the NCAAs. But you know, if they can get to the Final Four, you know, I'm there. I'm gonna figure out a way to be there.
I watched the Duke, North Carolina. That's only one game of Duke I watched this year. And I mean, obviously, kid pretty good. Going to be top 10 pick, top 5. So that's a bright future.
I seen a little bit of AJ. You feel me? I seen him last year before he actually ended up going to Duke. It was cool. He had an amazing season. He continue to go hard. You know, continue to have a good run going into March. And you know, I wish him nothing but best of luck and success. Go crazy.
Every time I see him on the bench and I see Griffin on the back of his jersey, you know, it just gives me goosebumps and, you know, just so proud. I've been around a long time, and I said, you know, this kid, something about him. You know, my youngest daughter was the same way, you know, and I always tell my kids, you never know how far hard work will take you. And we had the pleasure and the exciting, wonderful experience of going down, watching Coach K's last home game at Cameron Stadium, Cameron Arena. And Nick and I and Coach Nate Yorkin, we all flew down. Big shout out to Coach Nurse, because he put it all together. You know, I got the tickets, but he got the transportation. And without him doing that, you know, I wouldn't have been able to watch my son, you know, compete on that level. And overall, it was a magical night.
Starting Eagle shows our readiness. Close out, tackle, and touch. Ready?
It's been great. You know, a former player, it's always good to have, like, you know, a player's coach. I feel like he just gives us great knowledge, great advice, and always talking about the times that he had in the league and trying to just talk about longevity and things we could do to, you know, keep our body right so we can stay in the league for as long as we want. So he's been great on that side for me and just giving me advice on day-to-day stuff, and it's always looking out for me. He's great. Helping everybody, great coach. Obviously, it was my first time working with him, first year, but
great experience so far.
Oh, Coach has been awesome to me from when I first joined the coaching staff. He's definitely been a big-time mentor. He brings a very different perspective than I bring, being an ex-player. So he's taught me many things over the years, both tactically but also how to lead. And it's something he works on a lot, is his leadership skills, and he does a great job of showing that to everyone.
The 5-1 bubble wraps. Disney World will go in a moment. The Fieldhouse, Raptors, Philadelphia 76ers. Raptors locked right now in the 2 seed. They'll play Brooklyn in the playoffs.
You know, it's a unique experience, and you know, at the time, you know, our country, our society, you know, it was a really tough period. You know, all the things that were going on with equality. And again, Coach Nurse answered the call as far as not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. And, you know, it was like an hour before the game, and he calls me. He never calls me on game day like that, so I knew something had to be up, and he said, hey, just want to give you a heads up, you're coaching tonight. That's Nick Nurse style, you know, he's just laid back, like, hey, just want to let you know you're coaching.
Nick Nurse will not coach tonight. He will be in the building. He has a different view, Leo, for tonight. Adrian Griffin gets a chance to coach tonight and says it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's had to step in a couple times, obviously as the lead assistant, and he's always done great. Just really prepared, right? I really try to push those guys to be prepared for everything, and I really let them coach and practice because I know they all want to be head coaches as part of their development, and he's gotten a few good opportunities, and as you know, just come through with flying colors every time he's got the chance.
That night was just an accumulation of a lot of years of watching and learning, and I was fortunate that, you know, we not just get to win, but just the way the guys that, you know, went out and competed, and I think they didn't want me to lose, you know. They were wonderful, they played so hard, and at the end of the day, it's the players, you know, like you have all the best, you know, X and O's, but the players, they go out there and win those games for you, and they play the heart out for you. So it was a great experience.
And that's going to do it. Toronto down 16. They battle back.
Great comeback. Great comeback. I mean, that was just a marvelous, great coaching job by Adrian Griffin.
Look at that. You can tell just how much.
Well, those guys respect him. They play hard for him. Look at, they're all happy for him.
Good job, Griff. Good job,
You know, walking in the locker room and getting a water shower and all that stuff, and water bottles, and just the love that they show, and it meant a lot, you know, because, you know, assistant coaches, sometimes you kind of like in the background, and for them to show their appreciation for you and a lot of your hard work and sacrifice into their own development, it really meant a lot to me.
Man, that water cold, man. Hey, appreciate you all, man. In all my years, I never heard of a bad win. Great job. Raps on 3, 1, 2, 3.
You know, I got inducted into the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame in the beginning of this season, around October. And I had to give a speech. So I was thinking about, like, what can I say, you know? And then I started to kind of go through my timeline, my journey from where I started and where I am. And I had this epiphany that, you know, really life is not about how much you believe in yourself. It's really about how much you believe in someone else's dream. I had people along the way that say, I believe in you, I believe in you, I believe in you, I believe in you, even when I didn't believe in myself. So I try to do that, you know, with my kids. I believe in you. When I work with the players, say, man, I believe in you. Because I know how powerful that is and how transformative it's been in my life. And I believe I need to pay it forward. So that's kind of my philosophy of life here.